The first bullet entered just above Major Hartley's left eye. Skull fragments splattered across the wall next to the white UN flag. Hartley staggered backward, mouth open, trying to understand. He was sitting at a peace negotiation table. Why was he dying? The second bullet found Lieutenant Colonel Chen through the throat. He fell, hand pressed to his wound, blood spreading across the conference room's white marble floor. Then the building exploded. Automatic weapons fire from the corridors, explosions from outside, screams from everywhere. A peace delegation of 50 people, diplomats, soldiers, observers, trapped in an instant. The UN peace base was under attack. Inside were 8 security guards. Outside, 120 heavily armed militants. Sara, 31 years old, translator, Swahili English French specialist, dove under the table, hands clasped over her head. Unarmed, defenseless, typical civilian. Then she remembered the emergency cabinet behind the wall, the cabinet she'd personally installed 13 months ago. She was the only one who knew what was inside. Inside was a Jericho 941 pistol, 30 rounds, and a combat knife. Israeli-made. Standard equipment for Kidon operators. Her hands reached for the cabinet before her conscious mind made the decision. What happened in the next 27 minutes would turn a massacre into legend. How one woman transformed from a peace translator into the deadliest hunter the building had ever seen. How she systematically hunted 120 militants in terrain that should have made it impossible. But before we show you how she did it, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and smash that subscribe button, because this story will change everything you think you know about who the real warriors are. Now, let's get into it. The mission had started 72 hours earlier. Eastern Congo, near the city of Goma. UN peace base, neutral ground between two sides. Here, ceasefire negotiations would take place between government forces and rebel militias. Major Hartley, British peacekeeping force commander, had gathered his team. Gentlemen, this negotiation is critical. Two sides have been fighting for 8 months. 40,000 civilians dead. If this ceasefire happens, the region can stabilize. And if it doesn't, asked Lieutenant Colonel Chen, Chinese observer. Then the war continues for 5 more years, Hartley replied. That's why we cannot fail. Sara sat in the corner, taking notes. Official duty, Swahili English French translator, translating diplomat conversations, writing reports, recording meetings. Real background, viewing her files required Mossad director-level clearance. Sara had been born in Tel Aviv 10 years ago. Her parents were Kenyan diplomats stationed in Israel when she was born. She had Israeli citizenship. At 18, she joined the IDF. Mandatory service. But Sara wasn't an ordinary soldier. In sniper training, instructors noticed she never missed 800 meters, 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters. Every shot on target. Wind, elevation, moving target didn't matter. Siaman, Israeli counterintelligence, noticed her. We're recommending you for Kidon. Kidon, Mossad's most secretive unit. Target elimination specialists. Operators who traveled the world, finding and quietly eliminating people who threatened Israel. Sara worked in Kidon for 7 years. Tehran, Beirut, Damascus, Cairo, Dubai. 32 confirmed eliminations, each one a political assassination, each one as if it never happened. She was one of the best known by the code name The Ghost. Then an operation in Aleppo went wrong. She eliminated the target, but 5 civilians died in crossfire. Children, Sara hadn't fired at them, but the result was the same. 2 months later, she resigned. Mossad tried to keep her. You're our best. You're serving Israel. I can't anymore, Sara had said. I've killed enough children. She joined the UN, became a translator, Swahili, English, French, Arabic, Hebrew, fluent in 5 languages, worked in peace negotiations, tried to resolve conflicts with words. For 13 months, she never touched a weapon, until that day. The peace negotiations began at 9 o'clock hours. Two sides, government soldiers and rebel militias, sat in the UN building under white flags, unarmed, at the negotiation table Sara was translating. General Okoro says, "For a ceasefire, we have 3 conditions." Then the window shattered. The bullet found Hartley, then Chen. Sara instantly analyzed. Professional ambush. Sniper through window. Coordinated attack. Someone inside must have opened the door. Automatic weapons fire surrounded the building explosions. RPGs. Security Chief Marcus Webb shouted, "Trape! It's a trape! Get everyone to cover!" But there was no cover. 8 security guards against 120 militants. Outside, the attack came in waves. Militias had surrounded the UN building from every direction. Inside, 50 people, diplomats, observers, translators, were trapped. Marcus Webb shouted into his radio, "Base under attack. Need help. Estimated 100+ hostiles. Response: nearest reinforcement is 40 minutes out. Hold on." 40 minutes, meaning they'd never arrive, because in 40 minutes, everyone would be dead. Sara ran to the emergency cabinet, opened it inside. Jericho 941 pistol, 45 ACP, 13-round magazine, 2 spare mags equals 39 rounds total. Karambit combat knife, tactical vest, light Kidon standard. Sara's hands worked with muscle memory. Put on tactical vest, 5 seconds. Take Jericho. Check magazine, release safety, 3 seconds. Attach karambit to belt, 2 seconds. In 10 seconds, Sara Kamathi was no longer a translator. Operator Sara had returned. The first 3 militants entered the building through the south entrance. Sara heard them. Heavy boots, metal clicks, magazine sounds, Swahili whispers. She took position, corner of the corridor, against the wall, invisible. The first man turned the corner, AK-47 raised. Sara moved, Krav Maga plus Kidon technique. Deflect weapon upward, bullets go to ceiling. Karambit to throat, carotid artery severed. Take the AK-47 3 seconds, first militant down. The second and third men reacted, but Sara was already firing. 2 controlled shots from the Jericho. Tap, tap. Each center mass, both fell. 36 rounds remaining. Marcus Webb came running. "Kamathi, what are you—" "Chief, we don't have time to talk right now." Sara's voice was cold, professional. "The building is surrounded. Estimated 120 hostiles. In 40 minutes, they'll get in here and kill everyone." You're a translator." "I used to be something else." Sara looked into his eyes. "And right now, I'm the only person in this building who's done this before." Explosion from outside. North wall partially collapsed. "How many men do you have?" Sara asked. 7. We lost one in the first assault." "Weapons." 6 M4 carbines, 2 Glock pistols, limited ammunition." "Okay." Sara looked out the window, militias taking positions, coordinated, professional. "You take the diplomats to the 3rd floor. Lock them in the steel door conference room. That's the safest place." "What about you?" "I'm going to keep them busy." Sara had known the building's layout for 13 months. Every corridor, every room, every hidden passage. But the militias didn't. Advantage. Terrain knowledge. Sara went to the 2nd floor. Old administrative offices, abandoned, dark, labyrinthine. She looked out of the window. Militias preparing to enter the building from 3 directions. South, 20 people, direct assault. East, 15 people, side entrance north. Wall collapsed. 25 people entering, total 60 people entering the building. Remaining 60 outside for perimeter security. Sara made her plan. Strategic defense. Hunt those entering one by one. Lose them in the building's maze. Never engage in open combat. Survive 40 minutes. Kills number 1 to 3. South corridor. Sara took position. 2nd floor, end of south corridor, in a dark room. 3 militants climbed the stairs. Began searching. Sara watched them. Silently. Like a shadow. First militant entered a room Sara followed. Karambit, kidney, lung, heart. Silent. Hid the body in a closet. Second militant a few meters ahead. Turned around, Sara was already on him, neck broken, silent. Third militant started looking for his friends. Kofi, Jabari. Sara was 2 meters behind him, invisible. The militant turned. Sara's Jericho was at his forehead, paffed. No suppressor, but close range. Muffled sound. 33 rounds remaining. Kills number 4 to 7. East side entrance. 4 militants entered through the east door. Quietly coordinated, professional. Sara watched them from above the ceiling. Old building. Ceiling panels were loose. Sara had removed panels hidden in the ceiling. The militants passed underneath. Sara dropped onto the first one from 3 meters high, karambit to throat. Dead. The other 3 turned. Sara had already jumped to the corner. 3 controlled shots from Jericho. 3 targets, 3 dead. 27 rounds remaining. The militia commander, Colonel Kamau, was shouting into his radio. "What's happening in there?" 7 men silent. No response. "Someone's inside. Professional. Everyone listen. Move in pairs." Sara heard this. Changed tactics. She needed to trap paired groups. Kills number 8 to 11. Stairway trap Sara rigged wire on the stairs to the 3rd floor. Thin, invisible ankle height. 2 militants climbing the stairs. Tripped. They fell. Sara fired from above. Both dead. 23 rounds remaining. But the sound drew militias. 2 more militants came. This time they were careful. Sara was waiting for them. Top of the stairs, against the wall. First militant raised his head. Sara threw the karambit. Knife embedded in his neck. He fell. Second militant fired, but Sara had already moved to the side corridor. The militant pursued. Mistake. Sara came out of her room from behind. Jericho, 2 shots, 21 rounds remaining. So far, 11 militants dead, 109 remaining. But Colonel Kamau now understood. There's an operator inside. Professional, maybe Western Special Forces. He was wrong. Sara was worse. Kidon. Kamau changed tactics. We'll burn the building. Use RPGs. Bring down the walls. Drive them out. RPGs began hitting the building. Boom. South wall collapsed. Boom. North windows shattered. The building started to crumble. Sara went to the 3rd floor. Diplomats were locked in the room. Marcus Webb. Kamathi. The building's collapsing. I know. Sara was calm. But it can still hold. I'll keep distracting them. How long? 25 more minutes. Kills number 12 to 18. Indoor combat. 20 militants entered the building through the north breach. Sara hunted them one by one. Number 12. In corridor, from behind, karambit to kidney. Number 13 to 14. Together, Jericho, double tap. 17 rounds remaining. Number 15. On stairs, neck break. Number 16 to 17. Searching a room. Sara was above them in the ceiling. Dropped on them, karambit plus Jericho. 15 rounds remaining. Number 18. Trying to escape. Sara shot from window. He fell. 14 rounds remaining. 22 minutes elapsed. 18 dead. Reinforcements still 18 minutes away. Colonel Kamau was furious. 50 men, all at once, stormed the building. 50 militants attacked from all directions. Sara was desperate. 14 rounds, 50 enemies. The math didn't work. But Sara didn't like math. She liked strategy. Sara's last card, the building's basement. Basement plan. Basement, old armory now abandoned. But Sara knew something. 13 months ago, when the building was being renovated, old military supplies were found. The UN had stored them in the basement, awaiting disposal. Inside, old grenades, C4 explosives, mines. Sara ran down to basement, found the materials. Plan: partially blow up the building, draw militias inside, then trap them. The trap execution. Sara placed 4 grenades plus 2 kilograms, C4. In main corridor under stairway, at north and south entrances, then she made noise. Gunfire, shouting, drew militias inside. 50 militants filled the building. Sara detonated. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions shook the building. Walls collapsed. Ceiling came down. 30 militants died instantly. Explosion, debris, fire. The remaining 20, panicked, tried to escape. Sara hunted them one by one. Karambit Jericho used remaining 14 rounds. Fallen weapons, picked up AK-47. 27 minutes elapsed. 68 militants dead. 18 Sara directly. 30 from explosion. 20 hunted after. Colonel Kamau gave retreat order. Fall back! Fall back! Remaining 52 militants fled. 40 minutes elapsed. Reinforcements arrived. UN helicopters, armored vehicles. The building was still standing. Partially collapsed, burning, but standing. The diplomats on the 3rd floor were all alive. Marcus Webb found Sara. She was covered in blood, wounded, shrapnel, but alive. Kamachi, who are you? Sara looked at him. Tired eyes. I used to be something else. What? Sara was silent. Marcus insisted. You protected a 50-person delegation alone. Killed 68 enemies. Fought until the building nearly collapsed. I had to do it. Sara's voice was broken. Because I didn't want to use weapons anymore. But if I didn't, everyone would die. Investigation lasted 2 weeks. The UN opened Mossad archives, finally. Sara's background was confirmed. 7 years, Kidon 32 confirmed targets. Specialist, assassination, close combat, urban warfare. The UN Secretary General personally called. Miss Kamathi, you showed extraordinary courage. I just did my duty. Your duty was translator. My duty was to protect people. Sara's voice hardened in whatever form necessary. 6 months later, Sara was still with the UN. Still a translator, but now she had another role. UN security trainer. She started a program called Kamathi Protocols. Basic defense training for civilian personnel, survival tactics in crisis situations, indoor combat strategies. Hundreds of UN personnel went through this training. Many owed their lives to it. 5 years later, Sara Kamathi was teaching a class. Don't seek war, but if war comes to you, be prepared. A student asked, Miss Kamathi, did you really kill 68 enemies alone in Goma? Sara was silent. Then, I didn't kill them because I wanted to. I killed them because I had no choice. And if I'm in that situation again, I'll do it again. But you're a translator. Sara smiled, a bitter smile. Yes, I'm a translator, but sometimes words aren't enough. Sometimes to save lives, you need to take action. Sara Kamathi's story became legend. In Goma, there was a translator, small, harmless, reading books. But when 120 militants attacked, she became a ghost, killed 68 of them. Alone. Was it true? Exaggerated. No one knew for sure, but everyone knew this. That building was never attacked again. Sara Kamathi wanted it that way. Quiet, peaceful, just translating. But if necessary, she'd take up the weapon again. To save lives. Because Sara Kamathi was two things, a translator and a ghost. And the world learned too late that she could be both. They assumed she was a translator. They were right. But they assumed that's all she was. That assumption killed 68 of them. Never underestimate the quiet ones, because the most dangerous person might be the one who looks most harmless.